welcome back after the season hiatus to the Not Just Anime podcast. I'm your host Ruan, and here we uncover the secret lives of anime fans in South Africa. Today's episode changes tack a little bit. We go into the industry side of things with a very special guest, Nizar Abrahams from Readers Den, one of the oldest comic book shops in South Africa. And as with other territories, South Africa's anime scene also had its founding in comic books. It was comic book shops used to be the place where you'd go if you're looking for manga or anime, you know, the niche underground subcultures of the world. I had a lot of fun chatting to Nizar, and it was awesome to hear that after all these years he is still passionate as ever about comics, superheroes, and everything pop culture. Without further ado, Nizar Abrahams. A little piece of someone else. Retro vibes and neon glow. I am joined today by a living legend. I'm down in overcast Cape Town, which I actually prefer. The nice cloudy weather is always a good opportunity to either watch anime or read some manga, or in this case, probably read some comics. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm joined today by none other than Nizar Abrahams. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Rowan. Thanks for having me on this podcast.
Yeah, thank you. I was down in Cape Town and I thought I've got to chat to you. This is you. I'm going to start off by just saying that you are actually, ever since we met, maybe 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, I think so.
I was like, I want to have an opportunity to sit down with you and chat a little bit about where Readers Den started,
right,
where you got your start in comic books, because just from the few interactions we had, I saw that there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of history. Readers Den started in what year?
In 1992 as a shop. So, yeah, there's a lot of background to that.
Yeah.
Maybe like you hinted there, I'll take you back as a kid, maybe, as a fan, and because I must say, I must believe that as much as Readers Den is, it seems like an accident. I think I mentioned to you a little bit earlier just about Readers Den. There isn't a plan. There wasn't a plan when the shop started. There's not 1992 business plan. Let's do this, you know, and medium, short term, what we're doing. It happened, you know. So I don't think that's luck, you know. And it's about how you grew up as a kid, first of all. Lots of comics in the house.
Okay.
Parents that love reading books. Bookshelves in the house full of, you know, books is just a thing in our house. Every school holiday, it is day one of holiday. We're at the second-hand bookshop. It's called Cafe in Cape Town.
Okay.
Charity bookshop. Hey, we didn't have a lot of money, but we knew what we wanted. So we were readers, a family of readers, parents that supported reading in a big way.
Yeah.
And luckily, no looking down on comics. My dad even has memories of him as a kid reading those old comics in the 50s and 60s, whatever.
Yeah, like the strip comics in the
strip
newspaper.
comics, but even buying the actual comics, you know. So not necessarily superhero, it was more the funny books, like you'd say, the funny books, you know.
Archie,
so the Caspers and those things and hot stuff and whatever. So he has memories of that, goes way back. So we grew up in a household of readers, buying books, being in bookshops, going to Long Street. You know, book hunting was a thing, finding books, and comics was always accepted and part of that. That was the nice thing, you know. And unfortunately, I come from an era also where I must say, where in schools, comics were frowned upon. So I'm in primary school, we're hiding the comics away, you know. Some teachers like, no, that's not proper books.
Not reading.
So, yeah, whereas today's teachers, I mean,
just to get people reading.
Literally today, teachers are bringing the kids here.
Yeah.
We actually have school visits. I mean, this is now 30 years after we've started this thing. We have school visits, we have librarians, they encourage it, they buy from us, they want to start book clubs and comic clubs actually, graphic novel clubs in schools. So the exciting things that have changed for kids today growing up. But my youth was that typical youth. Comics are bad, it's not teaching you the proper thing.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Yeah, get to real books and all that. Luckily we read everything. We read good books, but we read comics. And spent a lot of time hunting down comics as a kid. You know, we had, I grew up in Athlone. So that's sort of on the Cape Flats of Cape Town. And there was lots of corner cafes. So that's actually how we got our comics. Every week I ran to the shop. And one of my favorite memories is, you know, how, and at these bookshops, I don't know if people have those memories. Typically the staff would kick you out as a kid because you sit there for hours reading.
Just reading.
Just reading.
Yeah.
But my memory is I went in there, yes, did a little bit of going through the comics, and the one staff tells the other staff who was about to kick me out now for parking down by the comics section, she says, no, leave him, he's a buyer.
Yeah.
And that was true, you know. I would go in there and sit by the comics, but I'd always walk out,
With something.
I have to buy a comic.
Yeah.
So already that, wow, you know, there's that moment where people realize, no, this is a kid who loves this stuff. He's not just here for the free ride, that type thing.
Yeah.
So that's little things like that. And then I think little triggers back then, Superman movie, late 1970s, going to the Athlone Bioscope, tons of cousins going with. And I came out of there totally starry-eyed. But you know, you're still a kid. There's no Readers Den in that picture.
Okay.
There's just a love of comics. So just to give you an idea, that love of comics is just there. But it was nurtured in so many ways that I'm so thankful for, because it would actually pay off to me as an adult, you know?
Yeah.
And to my brothers. I've got two brothers, but the one is involved in Readers Den. But we grew up with that kind of background. And that's the base I want to sort of portray here.
Yeah.
But now going back, you can interject if you want to ask a question.
So it just, the thing that I noticed, and this is what I picked up when we spoke previously as well, is that Readers Den was born from passion.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
love for the comic book medium.
Exactly.
And that's the beautiful thing. You mentioned earlier, like, there was no plan, but it was passion driven.
Yeah, and like those little things as a kid growing up, it just, you know, it's a little extra piece in the puzzle that just brought us to where we are today. But there's all those moments had to add up and bring us to there. But if I think of, and then let me just go back again. Prior 92, if you guys want to go back into where Readers Den started and all that. So yeah, growing up comics, you know what, we don't have those comics from when we were a kid. Like typically we lost all those comics.
Oh, I'm sad.
And
so
then,
there's no rare gems that
that's the thing, you know, and maybe that's also part of the magic, you know. At heart, I know this comic collecting has developed and evolved to such an advanced sort of hobby. Almost scarily advanced for some people. It's hard to step in because you know too little.
Yeah.
There's gatekeeping in terms of what you know and what you don't, and the movies are genuine or not following the story, whatever. But also in terms of high-end collecting, the value of comics, the prices that can be achieved if you kept things and all that. And then at my heart, I know I grew up reading and loving it, you know, reading it.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm still at heart that reader collector, but nowadays, I mean, I'm going to handle a comic with care.
Yeah.
Knowing. And even as a kid, I had that thing in me where I had to keep it properly, you know. When I borrowed a comic out, which typically we did, all our cousins read, and we used to just swap and share. So you give me some, and you don't count how many you're giving that one and how many you're getting back. You just, I want to read all of it. If you got something I haven't read, I'm going to read it. That type of thing, you know. But even then, when I used to borrow it out, it was like, please look after it. I'd give it in a packet and say, look at it, I need it back in the same condition.
Yeah.
Knowing how we just lie on the floor.
Yeah, you want to read it again. You
want to read it over and over, you know. That's the only wear and tear I appreciate today is a comic well read. It means it was loved and there was, you know, somebody got so much joy out of it. And that's just for me, the ultimate almost in comics. I don't promote that anymore, rolling it up in your back pocket or, and put your coffee cup on there. That's done for. I mean,
that era has passed.
That era has passed, but luckily I didn't miss out on that reader mentality is there, you know, as an outset, you know. So even when a new comic comes in today, I want to keep it in mint condition. Yes, I'm going to sit by the table and not just lie on the couch and roll over the comic as it falls, as I fall asleep. I want to sit properly with it, look after it. So there's all of that adds to the way we think about comics, the way we sell comics. You know, I love to attract readers into the shop. First of all, what do you like to read? What you know, not what is it going to be worth? When they walk in with that question, I'm like, rather get a comic, for instance, that you love to read.
Yeah.
The bonus is value. But keep it in a great shape. Put it in a bag. Board it. Don't expose it to moisture, sunlight. That's harm to the comic. It will detract from the value. But I want somebody to start off being a reader, being passionate, enjoy. Then the hobby becomes more, and you can talk to the fans. You know, you enjoy that conversations about the characters and the stories, and as things have evolved, writers and artists, we've become very attached to that. Where it used to be very character driven. So for me, as a shop, we need to nurture that culture of reading comics, of loving it, and that's actually key for me.
So you said when we were having a chat earlier, Readers Den in the shop form started in 1992, but before that, there was already rumblings of something.
Yeah, so, okay, let's go back. It's not 1992. High school kids, basically, we needed a bit of money. You're teenagers, you want to have some fun, you need money. There's always been an entrepreneurial spirit in me. That's just been me as a teenager,
Yeah.
If it was selling suckers or something as a teenager, or polishing shoes or whatever, 50 cents, or go to the shop for somebody and they give you a little tip. That was just, I'm that kid, So there's always been an entrepreneurial spark. Not that it means I'm going into business, I was studying normal subjects. I was doing biology and whatever, dreaming of doing law and these things.
Okay.
But, what we did for money is then we decided we'll go on a flea market stand. What do? Is, we got this house now that I've told you about, loaded with books. So we clear out the ones we don't want to the ones we don't read anymore. We open a bookstore. So we're in high school. I'm probably 16, 17 years old.
Okay.
So this is Greenpoint Flea Market was the biggest hit in Cape Town.
Is it the one? It's not the one that's there by Milnerton. It's in,
no.
It was in Greenpoint.
In Greenpoint, it was not the stadium yet as it is. There was a stadium there, but it wasn't the new stadium. So it was in the parking lot. I believe they just reopened it as a revival of the Greenpoint Flea Market. The Greenpoint was one of the biggest flea markets with like 500 stalls. So we as kids, we managed to get us a stall there. It was a big rigmarole, lots of politics to be there. You had to sleep overnight and all that. We did those just to get a spot.
So it was that busy?
It was that busy.
And if I may ask, is it people of all backgrounds shopping there? And
that's what's the nice thing about flea markets, It was, first of all, the stall holders would be from all backgrounds.
Okay.
And different things,
This is also a time in South Africa that
it's a strange time,
volatile.
And I must say, that's also part of the Readers Den story, which we must maybe touch on, I'm a person of color, and to break the barriers, getting into a formal business. But let's continue with the story first.
Okay.
Because flea marketing, huge thing.
Yeah.
And we managed to get a spot there, and we cleared out our books, and we started a bookstore. But obviously, we have a bit of comics there,
Okay.
But from that earliest days of setting up at Greenpoint, 1989, I think, I was probably what they call grade 11, yeah.
Yeah, it's about 16, 17.
17 years old, yeah, somewhere there.
Yeah.
And so comic sales there on the stand already was a thing.
Yeah.
But, and it's strange, we were so part of that culture of looking after comics and we never put it out in the sun, because a flea market is, you got a gazebo, but the sun still gets in.
Yeah.
The books we didn't somehow care for. We had a gazebo covering the books, but the sun would get. The comics we kept in our combi. We had those old surfer combis.
Okay.
Those typical 1960s combis. And then the box or two of comics would be in the van because we knew. And somehow, I don't know how people latched on that we did have comics, because people, I think, would come by or in the books, ask, do you have any comics? Say, yeah, sure. Then we take the box of the van, you go through it.
Okay.
And then you could buy. So that, funnily enough, that store was called Readers Den Bookstore. So there's no Readers Den comic shop yet. There's nothing like that. And
but it throws back to growing up in a house of reading. It's not about comics or novels.
Everything.
It's about
literature
reading.
is the thing. It's knowledge. It's power. It keeps you busy. It makes a healthy child. In that sense, more healthy geek because it's a lot of indoor hours.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. But I didn't mind that, But we were kids who played outside. We were not the type. But I think that time you could do it all.
Yeah.
We weren't stuck. There wasn't sort of electronics to get stuck on, Your time could be divided in, I'm lying on the couch, I'm lying on the floor reading comics, but just now I'm outside.
And the stories are also limited, It's not like you have this whole catalogue.
No, it's only what you can get, I mean, we typically went into the shop and those few would hang on the string.
Yeah.
And when or what we would call the little bobby shop at the time, that was the term for those little corner shops. That guy used to say, oh no, you're the guys who buy, and you're looking at the string, then he takes out another pile from under the counter, you can go through.
Yeah. But it wasn't like in today's day. I feel like sometimes it's kind of overwhelming, right? Because you can watch the movies, you can watch the animated series, you can read the comic. There's so many content. You can go on the mobile app on your phone and then read it there.
It's almost way too much when you start.
Yeah,
if you want
yeah.
to start out as a fan, I actually wouldn't know where you would begin.
Yeah.
But again, if you're going to come, that is actually, what I like about still the physical stores. We're all going digital and
Yeah.
online, and even us, we do online store. But coming into a store, you can make a first of all a human connection.
Yeah.
So you're talking to a bunch of geeks in a shop, and I think that's still the attraction when people come to our store is to get that
Community.
moment. Yeah, you got a community. You're building community, but you can talk to somebody. And we can level up and level down depending on the person. That is just a skill of how we want you to be part of this. We've discovered a wonderful world. We want you to actually find it too.
Yeah.
So we that is our job in a sense. But more than a job, we love what we do. So yes, come to a store, for instance, that you'll find the passionate people for. But going back, is that store was the seed. And when we put on everywhere, yes, 1992, but 1992 is when we took a shop. It was literally the size, maybe double this room. So we're talking the size of
Like 20 square meters.
Yeah, 20 square meters. It's the size of 3 toilets today. And a rent of 600 rand. It doesn't even cover the Wi-Fi bill today. So
where was this?
This is in the top end of Long Street.
Okay.
A very tiny shop. But Long Street was also at the time there was lots of second-hand bookshops. The dream was to be there. If you were into second-hand books and you love reading, like we grew up going there for books. For us, it was the ultimate space to be in when you deal in books. So we thought, let's open a bookshop, but we called it Readers in Books and Comics, the first version of it, because we had lots of books from the market now.
Yeah.
Because we were actively acquiring even for the market books. You'd go out and buy people's second-hand collections and stuff.
I see.
In that, you'd find comics, but it was about acquiring for the store. Eventually, you have too much, obviously. How second-hand goes. When you go out to buy, it just floods and it comes. And there's a point where we say we need a shop for this, but comics needs to be a part of it, And then it was a strange era because there was a huge evolution in American comics. The breakaway of artists from DC Marvel that we grew and loved, starting their own thing. There was a huge explosion with Image Comics,
Yes.
They also started in 1992, funnily enough. And there was an extreme hype. It's almost called the glut era. Print runs were extremely high. All over, from DC Marvel, but then the new company like DC, and then even Dark Horse and those guys, smaller companies could come up, things we as a kid never knew about.
Yeah.
There was only DC Marvel in a sense. But any case, looking at the time, the timing for us to open a shop was sort of, we were catching the wave of this massive growth in comics. People were excited for these things. Not long after that, within a year or two, there was the death of Superman. Truly
iconic moment.
Iconic moment, but almost overhyped by the media.
Yeah.
Because, comics is comics, You can die in comics, but that's not the ultimate death.
That's not the end.
So, but the media picked up on it. The most iconic character in the world is being killed off.
Yeah.
And we were in that wave of that massive hype. So people actively wow, a comic shop. This is the only comic shop here. There was a few other guys around us. They're not around today, unfortunately. But there wasn't a lot of, how do you get your import comics,
Yeah.
Comics were coming through the cafes. You had no choice.
Yeah. So for Readers Den, Comics and Books, first shop in Long Street, was that second-hand and new books or mostly second-hand?
That was mostly second-hand books.
Okay.
But
then this boom
we immediately,
occurred.
that boom, you see, was key in that we realized we needed to get the new product in.
Yeah.
And we had to make a plan to get imports in. And that is getting the latest issue right in the hands of fans,
Yeah.
You don't wait for it or wait for... Back then there was something called CMC, Cape Magazine Company. They used to, almost like they bought the excess from newsstands overseas and somehow sold it here.
Okay.
So that's how a lot of comics came into the country in the 70s, 80s and stuff. But that early 90s period, I think there was just the start of... And you had CNA who was doing Intermag. That division was also importing comics, but again, a little bit behind,
Yeah, like a month or two or even longer.
Yeah, at that time it was slightly longer maybe. It eventually came down to a month, but they were always a bit behind. So, yes, we made an early effort to actually get in the latest comics. So we had, when those things happened, the death of Superman, we got those issues in. When Spawn launched, the first issue of Spawn and those things from Image, massive hits, print runs of something like 4 million copies.
Wow.
Unprecedented numbers in a sense, It's probably going to numbers that in the golden age maybe of comics, when comics started, they had these high print runs. And I mean, comics have been up and down, but never spiked to those levels again until that early 90s, called the 90s boom in comics.
Yeah.
Comic shops flourished in the US. The numbers tripled and doubled, and it was just crazy numbers of how comic shops were popping up everywhere. So we were also one of those popping up, And at the time, you wouldn't have thought, is there something to last? Because literally, my brother and I, we both signed up he was still at university. I was supposed to start studying. I had applied to go studying, but this is taking off.
I see.
And this is just a strange thing that, and it's like, okay, let's do this for a bit.
Yeah.
And we'll see. Because it's not supposed to work.
Yeah.
Who sells comics for a living as an adult?
In South Africa.
In South Africa. And you're an adult, you need a real job,
Yeah,
I mean, that's, I mean, we've had that question when people walk into the shop right through the years. Do you actually sell comics? Do you sell anything here? It's like, are we doing something under behind the scene to make this keep this going or not? So yes, it wasn't. But another thing is, being that young, there isn't the foresight of, I need to be stable, I need to somehow get to a house, a mortgage, whatever is today's standards. That wasn't in the mind, It wasn't there. It was like,
you weren't burdened by those.
Yes, I'm living by the moment.
Things.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm living in the moment. I need money for now.
Yeah.
This is giving me money now.
Yeah. So why would you
why
not do it?
I'm enjoying myself. This is freaking cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if today's kids will do stuff like that. I was probably 1920, signed my first lease. And that's the story about that, is that it was technically illegal to sign, because you had to be 21.
Yes, because the age of adulthood was 21 back in...
Funnily enough, males were 21, females were 18 or something. There was a strange thing.
But they developed sooner than us.
Yeah,
so that,
there is that.
The guys are always lagging behind.
Always behind. I mean, 21 isn't even good enough.
I think it's the 21 now is probably... the 30 now is probably 21 back
20
then.
Exactly. Definitely. So
you signed a lease at around 1920?
I think I was... 1992, 20, I would be 20 years old probably. Yeah, 1990 I was 8, 92 I was 20 years.
Yeah, so technically illegal comic book shop.
But you know what? The agent didn't know.
Yeah.
The landlord sent us to the agent up the road in Clove Street from Long Street. He had a few properties in Long Street.
Yeah.
And she sent me there, filled up my details. I don't know if they looked at the ID properly.
They were just like...
Filled in my details and everything, but didn't make the connection that I'm not of age to do this. So I'm at a stupid age signing up for my life away. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. But in any case.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in today's age, I wonder if that would happen. If someone
I don't think you'd get
fresh out of school. And
I don't think they would want to give you a shop, first of all. Yeah. But now coming back to that, where I mentioned our background, apartheid was a thing. We coming out of areas that traditionally we don't have access to things like Long Street, being in a so-called white area to do business, job reservation or whatever, or those type of things was fresh, not super fresh, but fresh enough that can we take a shop in Long Street?
Yeah.
But I think we were lucky. We just things were starting to break down,
Yeah.
You could go to the beaches by the late 80s, to any beach, for instance. I just remember being chased off a beach, for instance, as a youngster, those type of things. So we didn't live a hard life. We had parents who just worked hard and supported us. So we didn't feel those effects too badly. But it's things that your parents only tell you afterwards, When you're a kid, you don't get the stories of how I didn't get the job, how somebody was promoted above, how I wanted to buy in that area and I couldn't buy there. Those are the things my dad went through.
Yeah.
And it sits with you because I'm sitting on an opportunity. We're going to open up in Long Street. So we're allowed to do this now.
Yeah.
So for me, there's a huge blessing in the fall of apartheid at the time that it happened for us, If we were 5 years prior,
then probably you wouldn't
be allowed to or if the laws just went on a bit longer, not going to happen,
Yeah.
And
so it was like a what do you what do you call it? When everything
Everything
lines
comes
up,
together,
the
yeah. It's
stars
like
lined up
the
perfectly.
stars lined up in a sense, but you're in that thing that you don't see it.
Yeah.
You're not even aware that
You're
the
just
world
doing the
is,
next thing.
Yeah, you're just going on. It's not even a yearly plan. It's not. I don't think it's a monthly plan even. It was day to day, but a lease is a lease. You got to honor that, and it makes you grow up, and get and you get on with the job in a sense. But okay, I don't think we want to go on too long about that history.
No,
But it's
fascinating.
it's fascinating because we're looking at 20-year-old brother of 24 whatever, and we're doing something so out of the ordinary,
And
starting our own business.
And your parents at this stage were encouraging you. They were like,
They are
I see you're
100%
passionate about
supporting
this.
us. As in, the first money to actually buy second-hand books was given to us by my dad, and we never repaid him. So we owe him the whole business.
With interest.
So, but I'm saying is, yeah, fully backed us. With that, the time we were in high school with the market, for instance, they would have to take us. We couldn't drive yet. So all of those support, that first money to buy the first books, but that first purchase of buying a huge load of second-hand books to get going, it set us up basically, and from there, that little bit that trickled, and the nice thing is that age, in my culture, is parents don't kick you out until you get married.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. 1821 meant nothing to them. You live till you get married. So that's a blessing again.
There was no pressure.
There's no pressure to get. We didn't grow up in a culture where when you're done with school, you find your own little place and you're on your own.
Yeah.
So we didn't have that. So I had no financial obligation in that sense, and that's freed us up to turn every little money we made into the business. We weren't paying ourselves. We were just covering our living expenses, but there wasn't a salary to talk about. We weren't making enough yet, but it was about we're having fun.
Yeah.
This looks like it can. It looks like I can do something for the next week or two.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going.
It's good enough.
It's good enough. It's great.
Yeah.
We're having an awesome time, and and then that shop we didn't last long. That boom in the US, American comics, massive, and in 2 years we felt we need to move, and we found a lovely premise also in Longstreet. It just had to be in Longstreet. And Longstreet was happening. It was hip. There was lots of bookshops still. There was lots of second-hand shops. There was thrift shops. It was a bit of clubbing started in that era. The upstairs of all the shops would be clubs at night. So it would have two faces,
Yeah. What were your operating hours, more or less? Did you do like regular 8 to 5, or were you trading later? Or?
No, we were kind of doing very tight hours because the city was a funny thing. And it's very different now, maybe, in that the city died down at 5. Everybody's an exodus almost.
I see.
So we would be part of that exodus. You leave the city, you lock up, and you go. Only Long Street was the only section that would have a little bit of flip over, but nobody stayed on.
Yeah.
There's
two shifts.
It's like another crowd comes in.
Yeah.
Like if back in the day, then I would go in when the alarm went off, and I'd like, oh my word, what is this? Am I in Rio or something? It's like a party vibe. But it was amazing. There was so much. There was just so much happening in that area, and the strange thing is that party culture helped a lot in that people came at night who would not necessarily come to town. If you worked in town, you'd find us, no problem.
Yeah.
But if you didn't work in town, you come to the clubs at night and you're like,
what's this?
The guys would stand, they'd come tell us the next day, they'd come like in the daytime now and say, what the hell, I saw this last night. I don't know if I was drunk.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was doing, but this was amazing.
Yeah.
So there was a plus side.
Yeah, there's no Google Maps.
No, there's no Google
comic
Maps.
shops near me.
That's another story I want to go with. Our earliest paid marketing, probably illegal. I hope DC's not listening, but we've since then paid them for any rights for anything, because I'm a big believer in that. But we actually used the Batman symbol. There was something called the classified ads in newspapers. It is long. It is the cheapest way to advertise, right?
Yeah.
Normally it was kept for people selling second-hand goods, and you would phone the Argus, or you would drop a letter in at the Argus building with your little ad and your word count. They'd count your words, and they'd just give you a little black and white in multiple strips on a page full of ads.
Yeah.
And we went under that miscellaneous column, took the Batman logo, it's in black, so black text, Readers Den comic shop, selling comics. and use that little logo to it, and it got people,
Yeah.
'Cause
And who were your customers back then? Was it teenagers? Were adults? Men,
it
women?
was really a mix. I must say, male dominated, as typically it was up till then.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, the change happened just after that. And that is the really fun part, maybe where you will have a big smile on your face. Manga.
Yeah.
Manga changed the demographic
Interesting.
from a male dominated comic culture to a truly mixed. I think the bigger readership and watchers of anime at the time was probably female. Not that there wasn't guys doing it, but just it created the balance somehow.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was beautiful to see. We were so used to it's a boys' club,
Yeah.
And we grew up like that, Our girl cousins or whatever, they weren't that into it.
Yeah.
They'd go to the movies, yes, if like the Superman movie, for instance. But they didn't read the comics or want to collect them, It was under the boys,
Yeah.
But in that 90s period, and being in Longstreet too, so you got your goths and the emos, and it's all
Different subcultures.
It's all those subcultures. But that created this new demographic for comics.
I see.
And a big part, I must say, is manga anime.
Yeah. And so what years or what era, this is one of the questions I actually wanted to ask you, did you because you're at in South African terms, at the forefront of comics in South Africa. What, and a lot of people who got into anime would say, oh, I got into anime in 2002 when Dragon Ball Z was on, or Pokemon was on the SABC. But when did you start noticing this Japanese influence, the manga coming into the... Because, obviously the boom for manga and anime was early 90s in the US. So I wonder, when did you guys start seeing, there's some interesting things here?
Yeah, the nice thing is, we were with what today is not a great story that Diamond Comics has virtually folded, but Diamond Comics was the leader and the almost... If you had a comic shop in the 90s, 2000s, up to 2020, I'd say, you can't have a comic shop without Diamond Comic distributors. And
you guys were importing from them since the early days?
Not from the start. We did it via stores first, via other stores, latching on to other people just to get the stock in. But there's a point where we switched to them, but their catalogs would be stacked with everything. And the thing is, the background that we come from is that literature is literature, It's not just superheroes. And when you get older, you're looking for drama, you're looking for mystery, you're looking for horror, you're looking for so much more in a story. And it's about finding the right independent stuff to stock. And then Diamond would be screaming out of this or that. It'd be Akira or something, Ghost in the Shell. And that kind of rumble, from the US side, actually.
Okay.
Their explosion, it's more to do with that things were translated. Things were being translated in the West when they were picking up on this whole culture, this whole anime scene.
Yeah.
And then translations were a big thing, as in Dark Horse Comics were almost at the forefront of these things.
Yeah, they did a lot of anime, or a lot of manga titles.
Manga at the time, they were,
Berserk,
and they went for it in the sense that they had to translate these things. They would buy the rights, but to do it in English.
Yeah.
Now, there would have been no market if that things stayed in the language it did.
Yeah.
So that foresight somehow from those publishers like Dark Horse at the forefront of that, to translate these things into English was a huge boon. And we somehow, through those catalogs and wanting to stock, different things, we just try this out, try that out.
Would you get like a sample or order?
No, we wouldn't get a sample. We'd get a catalog. It's a book. It's literally like a
physical book.
A physical catalog every month called Previous Catalog. Literally, the last issue came out 2 months ago, I think, because the company's folded.
Yeah.
But that catalog was like the Bible. You would sit with that
and go through
daily, every day, read up what is the thing and what is the story.
Would it give a little bit for new titles on the catalog? Would it give a little bit of a synopsis or
yes,
something?
it'll obviously give a synopsis
because it's a marketing tool.
It was basically a marketing tool. You use that catalog to place your orders with every month, and within 2 months those books would ship to you. So it was like your leader. It leads you into what's coming out.
Yeah.
So now you know what's the big thing. But when those companies make a big splash, if they put out a 2-3 page ad, they give you the first 2-3 pages printed in the catalog of that comic.
I see.
You'd get a nice teaser out of it,
Okay.
And those things led us to we just automatically started adding those things into our orders, and then the people are there for it. But when I look at how the anime scene grew at the time, it's a good thing and a bad thing in this. How things grew is people were watching pirated stuff, basically, right?
Yeah.
The internet started, piracy was becoming a thing, or even ripping discs and stuff. Now, today, big no-no.
Yeah.
We do not go there, nobody does this. But I think anime would not be where it was if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, because the piracy was basically one of the only ways to access a lot of the content, right? Because
Correct.
It wasn't like a case where it is today, where you can just go on the internet and look
download something
and go to Netflix or Crunchyroll
Correct.
or whatever. It was a subgenre of a subgenre.
Yes, you sort of almost underground doing these type of things.
Yeah,
and
it contributed to the spread of,
now that's the thing.
A try before you buy kind of thing.
There was this thing. I don't know if it was official, but there was this thing is that the anime companies were sort of turning a blind eye, knowing that the stuff is being spread. We don't know if it's real that they really allowed it.
Yeah.
But there was this rumor that
they're not litigious.
They're not gonna go chase you down and hunt you down for doing it.
The same way that maybe some American artists would.
No, big time. In the US, don't touch DC Marvel. Even at that time, you just don't go there. But that, to me, I think if they did that, I'd say they did the best thing ever.
Yeah.
And how a comic geek is, you want to own the real thing. You want to own the genuine thing. It was about, then we'd get orders for these things. There was a point when we even brought in a bit of anime. We'd bring in those box sets. The Evangelion box sets. Akira was it like you get a 2-disc version, Ghost in the Shell. But those box sets were beautiful. Obviously, you get a whole series. And the type of fans that attracted that would come into a comic shop is a type of person who's a collector. I want to own this beautiful thing. And today I don't know if this is a thing anymore, if people want to collect that type of thing, but still, for us, a question we get often is, how do you guys survive in a culture of people reading digital and online?
Yeah.
And we're like, no, this is a hobby. You own a thing, you own an item, and that's the huge plus about a hobby like this. Yes, there is digital, and where we again, maybe the same thing that happened to anime is that, what if you discover even the normal Batman comic through a digital download or free whatever online version of it, but there is that growth, there is that, it's accessible, and then you want the real deal. I want to own a copy now.
And I think, and maybe this is a follow-up question to that, is I do think that in today's there's a lot of nostalgia. I feel like if you look at Stranger Things, right? Stranger Things is just a nostalgia bait.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh jeez.
So I do think that the collector's mindset is kind of getting, I don't want to say a comeback because I don't think it ever left, but I do think a lot of people, young fans, are attracted to that nostalgic vibe of, like you were saying, like rolling up the comic book, putting it in your back pocket. I mean, I do think that that is becoming more and more attractive, because there's kind of like this reaction where for the longest time everything has gone away from publishing to digital, and now it's reached the point where people are like, hold on, I actually want to feel a book in my hands. I want to smell those new pages. There was a magazine in the early 2000s called Otaku Mag. You might know, right? With Jack and everyone.
Oh, fantastic.
And I collected that as a kid. When it started coming out, because as you know, I was grew up on anime. I was a big anime fan. So the other day I took it out of storage and I just paged through it, and that smell of the ink and the pages. There's that. It's something. It's silly to admit to it maybe, but I do think that today's culture in fandoms are moving back to those physical.
Yeah, you missed out a lot if you don't get those experiences.
Yeah, and it's a curated. It's a good way to curate, because we've all been there, right? You go onto Netflix, you just scroll.
Yeah,
you never watch anything.
You never get to watch.
You just scroll. Yeah. It's like, I don't know what to watch. But if you have a book, you're gonna pick it up. If you have a physical,
there's a cover in the back, and you get through it.
You get through it. You're like, okay, this is something I'm going to work.
It's just more real, and in this world of we're going now, AI and all these things, you know, there's so much fake and so much not real.
Yeah, yeah.
So now we want to latch on to a bit of realness and hard copies of things. and what's nice is also the the whole growth of, we were fans as kids, and you become adults, and there's something for you to still latch onto. And now when you're older, you want to buy back that youth and enjoy that youth.
Yeah, that nostalgia.
So that
you want
nostalgia,
to
that
relive it.
memories, it's really something that it's almost like you can buy back your youth in a sense. This is why Action One goes for so many $1 million or whatever.
Yeah.
It's because somebody out there
With disposable income.
Yes, now you've got a great job, but that was the best time of my life in a sense.
Yeah.
Everybody's got that memory,
Yeah.
And same with Stranger Things, got the BMX going there. It's
Yeah.
like, geez, that was when you were a kid, it's perfect.
It's things that you dreamed about.
Yeah.
Or reliving that excitement and that ecstasy that came with, for me it was TV games.
Oh yeah.
We would borrow TV games from friends at school, similar to how you were saying, like
comics,
lending out
yeah,
comics,
yeah.
But obviously we lived on other sides of the town, so when we got together at school, I'd bring one of mine and he'd bring one of his.
Correct.
I still have this distinct memory of just being so excited and like worked up that I couldn't wait to get home, because the first thing that I'll do before lunch, after school, whatever, before anything, I'll just run to the TV, slam that cartridge into the TV games, and that excitement, because you've got it, the whole day. You maybe in first break you get it from your friend, and then the rest of the day
you gotta wait.
You kind of opening
Now,
your
I
bag
remember those
to
days.
check to see, is it still there? Is it still there?
I don't have I'm older than you, but I got that same memories, but it wasn't with the cartridges. It was with the little Nintendos, the Donkey Kong, Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
The little flip.
The self-contained console.
Console, yeah. So it was Nintendo, but it was, so.
Yeah.
Oh, but those things were amazing. And, you own one, and then you'd swap your game with your whole game. You take that game home.
Yeah.
And until you clock it takes you a week or two, and you
that's,
clock that game, and then you get another one from somebody.
And that's also a beautiful thing of, and this is we can maybe talk about this. I want to ask you with what your point of view is on the current state of fandom and comics and anime in South Africa, and whether it's at a good place. But I do think that back in those days, with that type of culture around fandom and collecting, there was also an excuse to make friends, an excuse to get out and, like they would say today, touch grass and talk to people, right? Today you can just sit in your own room and just get whatever you want. But back then, with limited resources, you had to go out and say, oh, are you into comic books? I'm into comic books too. This is my collection. What do you collect?
But then
Can we swap?
But you instantly make a friend, eh?
Exactly.
That was the nice thing back then. When you see somebody just having a comic in the hand, you instantly make a friend.
Yeah.
You can talk for hours. It was amazing. But yes, over the years, obviously, there's been ups and downs. We luckily, I think as Readers Den, for us to have caught that wave of the boom in the 90s was key.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there just wouldn't be nothing to start off with. So it gave us a big push in that sense to start off with. But we've seen the lulls and the ups and downs. In South African terms, obviously, we also have to really look at the rand as an issue there. A lot of our dips and stuff come from spikes in the rand.
Yeah.
When we started out, it was a three rand to $1 or something.
So
when I look at the
buying
comic,
power is a lot more.
when I looked at a new import back then, people will freak out if I must tell them it was 8.75. We'd sell a Wizard magazine for 12 rand.
Yeah.
It's crazy prices.
And that's with shipping.
That's our final price.
Yeah.
So we got it in, but because your rand is so strong. But we've seen spikes when the rand went to 12, the rand went to 15, the rand even hit 20.
Yeah.
We're not I wouldn't say a better space. We're not where we should be. But I'm saying is, it played a big role in the ups and downs. But I think something that you mentioned there now is about that, I think, community.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if we played a role or it was just handed to us. Again, something that, Readers Den's 30 odd years, 33 years of being around, there's highlights in each part of that,
Yeah.
There was the Long Street era. I call that, there's the you now heard of the pre-Long Street era, which very little people maybe know about. But I know there's an odd customers still around. People I still run into, bought from us at that market. They are adults, obviously, with kids and, There's the Long Street era. We got the boom and the wave and the start of the anime and manga scene. That started all then. Then there's the early 2000s for us in terms of just a shop where my brother and myself, we went to San Diego Con. It's just to immerse ourselves into what is the ultimate mecca of this kind of pop culture. Being exposed to cosplay on a level that we've never seen before. And that 2000s was about how do we build community here? Because look at this. This is people coming together, sharing every type of fandom. It's not about the anime fan. It's not about the comic fan. It's about everybody just having a damn good time.
Yeah.
And strangely enough, again, I don't know if the pop culture gods are with us. A concept came up called Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah.
2002. Some comic shop owner had this brilliant idea. What if we just hand out free comics on one particular day worldwide? We all just encourage new readers to come try a comic for free, no buying, get a comic.
Yeah. That's on the 2nd of May.
That is every year, the first Saturday in May.
Oh, the first Saturday of May.
So
okay.
it will change. But that's the traditional date. We shifted maybe a week later due to Comic-Con or if the shipping is delayed or anything. But we latched onto that from the start, and that event built up to a massive event. By 2012, it was a huge event, probably attracting 2,000 people plus. It was crazy, Wow. But we were in Stadium on Main.
Yeah.
That's another era of Readers Den, the Stadium on Main, and that is, I think, where a lot of who we are as Cape Town community and fans are. And that's one thing I cannot feel more blessed, the fans and the people that we had with us building these events.
Yeah.
But the seed was planted. San Diego, I saw cosplay on the next level. I saw Artist Alley next level. I saw every publisher, from the manga publishers right to the big DC Marvel, everybody's there. And everybody has a rightful space and everybody has a fan base.
Yeah.
But we can come together and do this together. So Free Comic Day for us, we did to a next level. It had to be a community driven. I had to get the fans together at sort of no cost, low cost. So we had exhibitors, we had cosplay, we did a stage, we had performances. And everybody would give their little bit of what they can do. The cosplayers would be there. We had people that would do geek-inspired dances like the belly dancing, but geek-inspired, the Star Wars themes or whatever. Bands would play, but again, in costume. And really just something that works with comic books. And obviously, comic book launches was a big thing. Local guys being supported and selling comics, making their own comics, doing their own print runs. It's a huge thing for us to support local talent and get them out there, get their books out there. And just creating something that we always thought of, it's a Western thing. We're just buying into what they're doing.
Creating our
own and creating a community. And it's amazing how all of these guys, everybody got to know each other. And we're still tight as a group, we still doing Comic-Con Cape Town, FanCon evolved out of that when we started.
But sorry, I want to interrupt you there. FanCon was a concept that you guys launched, right?
Yeah, FanCon was basically, there's a point where we felt Cape Town is more than ready for a Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I actually felt this long ago. And when there's a story that goes with this. The book fair was something that happened when the CTICs was a fairly new space. It was sort of mid-2000s, 2006, 2007, massive book fair. We had to be part of it.
Okay.
But representing comics. So we were there with a booth. And as that event grew after 2-3 years, and it was fantastic ladies running the show. And one of my post-meetings with them was, I had a one-on-one meeting. I said, you know what, Cape Town is ready for it. Don't you want to join me and do something? And they said, this thing is so big. And, it wasn't a thing that they were latching on. But, I'm coming from internally, I can see this, because Free Comic Day is a madness.
Yeah.
We created literally a madness on the floor. And it looked like a con. The feel is a Comic-Con. And so back in the head, it's already a long time. There's the seed.
It's building.
But Free Comic Book Day is doing it sort of, But obviously it got to a level where we couldn't sustain the growth in that mall.
Yeah.
The lines would be outside the mall. I don't think a fire marshal would have appreciated what they saw the last 2 years,
Yeah.
Luckily, I don't think they stepped in that space. But Mondays, the newspapers would be full of it,
Yeah.
So it was so ready. And then we just had to make the call and say, FanCon needs to happen. So FanCon, as the name says, it's a fan comic convention. We had to bring that in. It was built by the fans because we always felt Free Comic Book Day, yes, we're the hosts, but we only hosts.
Yeah.
It was the fans who really came out
and made it an event.
And made it the day, They had a ball. as in we had a ball,
Yeah.
and it was just we all get together, and our customer base is like that. It's more like friendships. Everything felt like friendships, and that is how Free Comic Day was built. And then we said a fan convention is fans coming together. Let's do FanCon Cape Town Comic Con, and that was 2016.
That you launched FanCon.
Yeah, so that was the first actual comic convention where we're gonna do international comic book guests, international cosplayers, but more modeled on a typical Comic Con than what San Diego has evolved into, which is a pop culture convention.
Yeah.
So at the time, Comic Cons were still largely comic book focused, but the mega shows like San Diego would now start attracting movie studios, actors, and the like. Nothing wrong, because the fan base was growing.
And that's what
movies
they
were
wanted.
made. I mean, if you look at, the Marvel universe,
Yeah.
just exploded, based on movies. So there was a rightful step up. But from our side is, we knew old San Diego. I went to San Diego prior to the movie studios being there, and I saw that. And we've been following a lot of the conventions that are known for their comic books. Thought Bubble in the UK is just comics. It's just an artist alley. There isn't really an exhibitor space for merch even.
Okay.
These shows are very focused as it's a Comic Con. And FanCon the concept was, we're not going to go to the actor level. First of all, we couldn't afford it. We're doing this on a shoestring budget. We actually didn't have a budget. It was Readers Den. Let's just spend a bit more and take what we were doing, and with the support of the fans, I'm sure we can pull it off. And it is like that. It was all the exhibitors getting space and at a fair price, and just everybody supporting it. We had a lot of support from the cosplay community, I must say. And that kind of growth is only due to the fans stepping up and wanting it so badly, and we were luckily there to facilitate that only. But FanCon was an amazing event. The first one, we sold out the first day. It was lines out the waterfront. It was insane support that we got for that event. And then we immediately had to, the second FanCon, we moved to CTICC. Again, it was a phenomenal experience. But again, we were bringing in, for the first time, comic book guests. That first show on the waterfront, we had Jason Aaron. At the time, he was one of the biggest writers. He was writing Stars and stuff.
So how do you guys connect to these guys? Because that's always the thing for me. We're down here in South Africa. We're far away from everything, and it's just through.
It was something. I don't know if we were still starry-eyed, blinkered. We don't. I think there's a part of us that, both between me and my brother, we don't see the giant challenge in front of us. We see the now. This is what we'd like to do.
Yeah.
And why not? It's like.
And you just take it one step at a time.
You take it one step at a time. It's reaching out. If that's the idea, yes, let's approach people. Let's talk.
Yeah.
And the constant was always the support of the community.
Yeah.
People want this. So we will do it for them, in a sense. We will go out there, do the reach out. And maybe it was a simpler time. I think social media was not.
It was not really.
Not so a constant that people sit on and.
Was not, or at least probably back then, social media wasn't an easy way to access a big name or a big brand. It was not like you can just send someone a direct message and be like, "Hey."
That's the thing. Funnily enough, some of it was like that, where we did that. But I'm saying is yes, you'd have to find a genuine contact for a person.
Yeah.
And then reach out in a manner that will attract them.
Yeah.
And our biggest selling point was Cape Town, I must say. Jason Aaron, for instance, it was just, I've never been to Cape Town, and I've always wanted to be. It's Africa.
Yeah.
I mean, the entry point to Africa is Cape Town almost. That, I must say, is a saving point and a big hook. If we were in any other city, we might not have pulled it off. But there isn't like a clear road. Again, almost like we started. It is just. Hopefully, we're guided by some. There's a passion that just we want it bad enough.
Yeah.
So we're gonna make it happen, either or. And then we managed to get a international cosplayer by the second year. That first year, we managed to get. I think it was still Jason Aaron. It was Jamie McKelvey and Ian Churchill. So we had 3 internationals, 2 from the UK.
Yeah, that's insane.
And not done with much of a budget, in terms of. I think I managed to use my emails to get Ian Churchill here. Maybe it was like just like let's just see what we can do with what we have, in a sense,
yeah.
Fortunately, I think the nice thing is not that money was made, but Free Comic Day, yes, in turn it could make a bit of money.
Yeah.
So it's more like the promise of, if we do this on a scale, there will be a return to cover everything. And FanCon eventually did that. It could cover itself. It wasn't a money spinner, but we didn't go out to do it for that, We had the business. The business is fine. We got Readers Den, and that's good enough. We having a ball. And even that, years of reading comics and then meeting your heroes, the guys behind it, and I'm going to circle full back, the explosion of image. When artists and writers became the stars of comics, I think that's a key thing for this whole game. Today it is about who's writing it, who's the artist, who's the cover artist, and that makes people order something for that. If you got a J. Scott Campbell cover, it will outsell the main cover technically, which is now maybe the secondary cover being added, which you call a variant cover, or cover B, cover C. They do up to 10, 20 covers on some series, depending on how popular series is. And I love that the recognition that artists and writers were getting. And then something like FanCon for us, it was like, geez, we're gonna hobnob with these guys. This is living the ultimate geek. So I think Readers Den was already living the geek dream.
Yeah.
We don't work. We just do Readers Den. We're not working, And then FanCon was another extension of that, we took it to another level of we're gonna
do something that you enjoy.
We enjoy it. Look at it was stepping out of our comfort zone. We were not event organizers. I must say that, but a lot of training happened prior to launching FanCon. Free Comic Day was that training ground, and with massive support. And also we were constantly also doing stuff like launches in our shop. We'd have Lauren Beer, she was an amazing writer.
It's a South African
South African
mystery thriller, The Shining Girls or something.
There we go. So we'd launch some of it. When she did the Fables, one of the stories there in comics.
Okay.
And then we had that launch in our store, for instance. So there was various launches, and any local guys that were launching comics would come to us, can we have a launch in the shop? So you started managing small events. Yes. And the Free Comic Day gave you another step up to that, where you had to step up and obviously, but doing a convention is totally different, Now it is the real deal, you got
fire marshals,
city permits, police clearances. There's things that people don't know. I think people rather not know, maybe just enjoy the show, but there is a lot, and I think we need to appreciate people who do these things. These new shows, even the Comic-Con guys, I know sometimes they get so much flack for this.
Like last year,
like somebody, like a guest cancels or something, and I say, why are you shitting on this? Sorry if I can say.
No, go for it.
You're shitting on these people. They're doing an amazing job. These are things out of their control.
Yeah.
If a guest cancels for the second year, we had the same thing. We had cancellations. It's how you manage it, yes. And they're doing a fine job, but they are doing so much for the community. Let's look at that part, And yes, it's scary going into a space that we built up enough knowledge to be able to become a retailer and a business in that space. So we understand business and importing and all those. Those are there's a huge front to this, and you see the happy space in front. The shop, it's all pretty with all the pretty stock.
Yeah.
We in the trenches. But we don't mind, it's what you do. You got to fight with customs, you got to fight importers, you got to fight with shippers. I say fight, but it's in a nice way, because it's in a sense, it's the battles that you go through to do what you do and do it in the best way.
To give back to the community at the end of the day.
At the end of the day,
if you don't do the fight, then the book's going to be more expensive on
Everybody
the shelf.
loses, exactly. So you're just fighting the fight for everybody's benefit, in a sense, and then for your success. But the success means the customers are there for you, and they'll support you.
Yeah.
So it pays back, all of it. But again, going into a new space, event running. But the nice thing about eventing, first of all, is you're doing something for the fans again.
Yeah.
It's something they wanted. We wanted so badly because we saw it. And we thought, we need to have this. It must happen, It was always a must happen here, because it's going on overseas like crazy. It needs to happen here. But it is that step up, and
With it comes a lot more responsibility.
responsibility, but nothing terrible about it, But today we'll have the stories, we hanging out with all these guys, and just that casual chat ride from the airport, and getting to know these people as real people.
Yeah.
You're still starry-eyed in that sense, but it's also adding the humanness to it, and it makes comics even more of a thing. I cannot today a Jason Aaron comic is a smile. I see your name there, or if it's Sana Takeda, absolutely wonderful guest. It was about 3-4 years later in 2019, I think we had, or something. There's just so many guests, and we have been so fortunate. We haven't had what some shows might say is terrible guests or demanding or whatever. We've never had that experience. It was literally just people that wanted to be here for the fans, and that's what we wanted. We were that type of we were maybe not the best showrunners in that we would pressure them and say, look, can you sign stuff for free? Don't charge. And then yeah, sure, you're flying me out all the way, because flying somebody from the US to here versus in the States where they fly you to a show, that's nothing. That's a local flight for those guys. It's not the same appreciation, because but for us to bring them out here and then to say, hey, let's put you on a Cape Town tour, on a safari or whatever. You made the effort to come here, and you came for more than just the fans. You want to see the country. And we're thankful for that. So we add on all those to get the guests, going back to how do we get these guys? You gotta dangle those beautiful South African things in front of them, but to that's the fan in us is screaming. We are having such a good time. All the artists that we've met, it's just living the dream.
So I'm very happy, and I mean I knew this coming into this podcast, into this episode, because the interactions that we've had before, your passion for what you do and the comics is really infectious, and I'm happy to see. I think there's a lot of cases where people can become quite jaded when they're in the industry, but I'm happy to hear that you're still a fan. And my question is, do you still get time to read comics, or do you make time to read comics?
It's been a strange journey with that, because I'm almost like I'm too in the heart of it. I'm at the stage where I see things long before the time. You get previews of things. Then you're at the stage when you have to hype it for the customer and make them aware of something. So you kind of have to build that. Then you're at the stage where you're sitting with a distributor and publisher. We have to place the orders, work out the numbers, and then something arrives and eventually the shelves. There's like all this focus around something that a fan is like, he gets hyped, it's on the shelf. Maybe with the internet, yes, a bit of hype before a week or two. For us, it's like, geez, it's been announced at San Diego last year. Then the guys, now you follow the artist online and he's,
sharing
something art and delays and whatnot, And strange like with FanCon also, where we would see a guest come here and finish up a page and, this is for 2 months' time. And you're so in the, it's funny, but yes, you do make time and you steal those moments nowadays. It's not like I can say I would actively sit down and I want to finish a run. What I have rather done is I would even like, just for enjoyment, is grab a graphic novel rather.
Okay.
So that format, I think, is made for a lot of people, funnily enough. There's a lot of people who don't want to latch onto the hobby of collecting.
Yeah. But
for me, there's a joy in reading comics. And it goes back to my days of I enjoy reading comics, And that graphic novel format for me is, I know I could have bought all the issues. I was sitting with the catalogs. I could have just followed it. But I know I won't have that committed time to actually say, I'm going to buy all the issues and then read it, or read it every month. I know I'm going to read the one, then get distracted and only come back to it 3 months later. Then I have to do a catch-up. And I hate that catch-up, because then I have to read again the last issue.
Yeah.
So, in a sense, I would read comics, but more... I'll steal a moment in reading a new comic that just came out and got it. I'll say, okay, let me just check it out quickly. So that takes me 10 minutes, even at the desk or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and it's nice because now you're ready for the fan in the sense that, you can talk about it, whatever.
Yeah.
But that for me is not real reading. I I want to sit down or or lie on the couch even, and that's where graphic novels. I don't care so much about the condition.
Yeah.
So I'll grab that, and it's a complete read for me, and I know I got an hour of fun doing that.
Yeah.
But yes, life and time is so precious. It doesn't happen as often as I would like.
Yeah.
But you can never divorce yourself from it. The other nice thing I want to add to that is, you see that you're excited, and you can see that the passion is still there. You know what is a passion that people maybe don't know that we experience, that is amazing part of this business, is when we get shipments. We get shipments in the US. Comics are released every week. We cannot do that due to we flying and the stuff, so we do it every 2 weeks. So we bunch up in the States, the stuff gets delivered to our freight forwarder, and they hold it for us to do one bigger shipment, so that the price at least is worth it, right?
Yeah, more competitive.
So every 2 weeks we do a ship. So 52 weeks, we got 26 deliveries for the year. So we release a shipment, it will get announced and all that. But for us, that delivery is Christmas, man. Every 2 weeks we have Christmas. Opening up those boxes. And you know what? The difference is, to any other company, if you're selling whatever, you're opening up the same thing.
Yeah.
A shop that restocks your supermarket, it's the
Just
same.
Omo on
It's
the
the
shelf.
same cereal, it's the same jam,
Washing powder and
bread. You
whatever.
unpack it every day, it looks the same.
Yeah.
Unless they change the packaging in 2 years with a new thing.
Brand refresh maybe, but
We
yeah.
pack out a brand new issue of something. It hasn't been out any. It's the first print of this and that. And that little joy of doing that is the drive that I can tell you is a big part of the drive.
Yeah. I didn't think of
No,
it
people
like
don't know that
Yeah.
there's a behind the scenes. How did that shelf get bagged and priced on the shelf?
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I between my brother and us, we still don't like the staff to help unpack it. So that we want that
Guilty
moment.
pleasure, yeah.
It's a guilty pleasure we give ourselves. I want to unpack this ship. Yes, they get to help and process, and obviously, we can't do it all. But that cracking that boxes and just getting that first fresh smell of comics, and it's a very raw process. I mean, people see a bag and they expect a mint comic. We get this out of a box, stacked up, and we hope that it's packed well and all that.
Yeah.
But it's that moment, yes, that getting it freshly printed out of the printer's boxes, and be like, oh, this is it,
So as a one of the original comic book fans in South Africa, what are some of the superheroes or characters that you return to, that you're like, I am a Spider-Man guy? For me, Spider-Man, that the relatability of the character. I mean, I didn't grow up in New York, but it's a teen going through teen issues. So I really enjoyed the animated series as a kid, and the idea behind Spider-Man. Any characters that you hold dear?
I wouldn't say hardcore, but there's something about Batman, and there is even something more about Superman.
Okay.
For me, first of all, there is this. There was a base issue that there was more of an availability as a kid of DC Comics. I don't know what it was. I think there was an era at Marvel on that apartheid era. There was a stage where it wasn't coming through so much.
Okay, it's like a boycott kind
type
of thing.
a boycott thing, maybe. I wasn't sure what was happening, but as a kid, the availability of Marvel comics wasn't. There was an era that it wasn't
I remember seeing a lot of Superman and Batman and Green Lantern.
DC's somehow was just it flowed through and came through. So that was the exposure, was funnily enough there. And then that first Christopher Reeve Superman movie, it just edged everything out, So for me, Superman has got that. It's just, and it's sort of the ultimate superhero in a sense. Yeah, Batman's got the edge, and when you grow older, you will gravitate to those more hardy, rough, gruff characters.
Darker
so your Wolverine is really
things,
nice, also that I like. In terms of there's a Batman feel to that too. I love that. I'm not that type of into that playful characters like Deadpool that people would expect. And even for me, Spider-Man is a little bit lighter. But I know where it fits in and why, it's that teen angst and all that. But to me, it's almost like too much drama for a superhero.
I hear
but
you.
I mean, Stan Lee used to love that.
Yeah.
He says he wanted to bring that humanness into comics.
Yeah.
And I think that is a big draw card. But for me, the superhero is super.
Yeah.
And like Superman, he's not even human, he's beyond.
Yeah.
Whereas Batman is, again, the ultimate human super. So for me, there's both works, Whereas Batman is an technically, an achievable superhero, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have superpowers, its real ability, its
That he's
ability
honed
that
over
has
years.
honed and skills. Yes, and money. He's a multi-millionaire.
Of course.
So, but I mean, there's a humanness to that is unreal. That you can technically say it's achievable to become Batman.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
you can
yeah.
work on this and you can get there. And then I love that Superman is just beyond human. It
Yeah,
is super.
a higher standard.
It is just a Superman. It's
Yeah.
Superman. You know.
Have you seen the new movie?
Of course, we were there 9 a.m. You know, that first screening. I didn't sit in the front row to see it first, but I mean,
But it got
close.
there.
Yeah, man. It was great.
Yeah. Would
I
you
think-
weigh in on the Henry Cavill, David Cornsweet new direction with James Gunn versus?
You know, I don't like to go into an actor's an actor for me.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
they're playing a role, and yes, some vest more into it. There's nothing wrong with this guy.
Yeah.
Gordon Sweat was great actually, and I loved Lewis Lane. I don't know what's the name of the actor.
Yeah.
Great also, but just for me is
The movie did
the
justice
movie
to
did
the
justice.
character.
You know, I think if I would still rate the Reeve Superman, the
Yeah.
first two. It's just that is
It works.
That works, and I don't know if it's part of it is the nostalgia that is skewing it for me always.
Yeah.
Man of Steel was great too.
Yeah.
You know.
No, but it's different strokes for different.
Yeah, but
time
I think this
periods
one,
as well.
this one, I think I was super happy. I'm okay. Are we past talking about spoilers and things? I don't know.
I don't know.
No, but okay.
Spoiler
but-
alert if you haven't seen.
Yeah,
but
no.
still.
I'm not sure if it's a spoiler or not. But just that, I mean, in terms of Superman lore,
Yeah, it was
they
comic
missed.
accurate.
No, they missed there with the. You know, I just. Can we,
Oh, do you mean Man of Steel or
no. This movie.
Yeah, go for it.
You sure? No, I'm just thinking
Fair
about.
warning.
No, fair warning. No. I'm just thinking about the message from his parents, right?
Yeah.
That.
It was completely different to what the
That's
comic
oh,
books
like
said,
okay,
yeah.
I was okay with it, but when the movie ended, I was thinking there's going to be some closure to that.
Yeah.
I needed closure to that. So for me, that was jarring and not cool.
Yeah.
That hello, they sent him here to freaking take over.
Yeah,
Yeah. This is not the good guy he's supposed to be. His goodness comes maybe from the Kents, you know,
the human element.
Yeah, so us as humans have a big role to play in who Superman became as a person, maybe. But just do we mess with that law that you know?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that's a tough. There are certain
I mean,
rules,
I don't know if so. I was enjoying the movie so much, and then at the end, when are you going to wrap this up to be like, I'm not happy here now, you know?
So that's an interesting thing. So I'm going back to Man of Steel just because that was also like a big departure from Superman lore. He didn't have the red trunks, and he actually murdered Jor-El, not Jor-El, General Zod.
Yes,
and I, you know, on the face of it, that to me was like a big shock. But then I actually saw an interview, and this is kind of maybe taking away from the experience, but I saw an interview with what was the game, Zack Snyder, who did Man of Steel, and he was saying like, Superman ended up murdering General Zod. Obviously, it was the last resort for him, but also he's a human in his upbringing, and he had to learn the value of life. And by taking a life, he for himself experienced that burden of what it means, and that's kind of where, from Zack Snyder's point of view, where Superman became the Superman that we know and love, that is that higher standard that wouldn't take someone's life. He had to kind of go through that to understand the weight of because he's a god amongst men, right?
That's right.
But at the same time, with this power, but at the same time, he's got very human emotions. He gets angry, he gets upset, all these things. And you know, maybe if a lesser man were in his shoes, they'd use that power for doing evil things and getting away with it. And it was interesting to hear Zack Snyder then say, well, this is where he had no way out and just relied on his strength, and he murdered a villain, which some would say is justified. But then after that, he was like, you know, it dawned on him. Obviously, you can't see that in a movie, but that is where the responsibility of human life dawned on Superman. So that was quite interesting for me to see, and I was like, okay, I understand why you diverted from it, but at the same time, there are certain rules that
that is the whole thing with growing up with these things and being so close to all these things. As a rule, when I go into movies now, is put everything I know at the door. Try and watch them. I know it's hard. And I first of all start off with no reading up, no commentary, not even on the actors, you know.
Yeah.
I think we made that mistake with Ben Affleck on Batman and stuff, you know. We all
was like, what the hell is this?
What the hell is this, you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, not bad, eh?
Yeah,
you know,
jeez. He portrayed a very interesting Batman. Eh?
That's the thing. So I'm like, Batman. But even prior to that, it was always about, if I go to a movie, we literally go to every movie. We normally go as a team, as the whole crew. We'll go, you know, and watch the movies because we just really like need to see it.
Yeah.
But it's like, let's just leave everything at the door. Even if there's comic lore being messed with. Even like now with the Superman thing, I still love the movie. You can mess with that. It's okay. But it grates you for the moment and whatever. But overall, I want to go in for the enjoyment, you know.
But it also touches on something that you mentioned earlier on, where you were saying, like, you've discovered something beautiful, this beautiful world of comics, and you just want to share that with people to also enjoy. So I think what you're suggesting here is also that situation where, for you, maybe there's a couple of issues that grates your bones, but it's wonderful that on a massive scale, unlike ever before, we are exposing people to these stories.
And I hope that they don't see those issues, you know? I actually hope they don't. I don't want them to be the hardcore fan that walks out of there, I wasn't happy with this, and that's not accurate. I actually want them coming out of there, I want more of this. This was so much fun. So and when I go into a movie like that, where I can hopefully also just switch off as much of the knowledge and the background to it, and enjoy it. And I'm hoping I'm seeing it through the eyes of like a fresh fan, you know. It's not always going to happen. The only fresh version I got was in 1979, whatever it was, you know, and or those early Star Wars and whatever. It was just, so I hope people get that experience, you know, because I know that is a precious experience. And we as fans mustn't detract from that to anybody, you know, and this is the new fans that we have. Whereas, I mean, if you look at these massive shows now, the Comic Cons and stuff that we have, you know, Joburg's coming up, Cape Town was a blast. So it's mainstream people loving pop culture, and we were sidelined as geeks, you know.
No, it's changed now,
and it's so changed, and everybody wants to be part of this thing, and it doesn't make it. I mean, it doesn't make it mainstream yet, but it's so accepted in mainstream, you know.
There's a place for it.
There's a place for it. I mean, at my son's school, they had a pajama day, and I was watching the kids walk in, you know. And half the stuff has got comic superheroes or it's anime on there. It's just lovely. I'm like thriving seeing this happening. You know, I'm like, this is a world I did not see when I was a kid. You know.
Yeah, and it's awesome that, you know, you guys played such a big role in normalizing it, and like you were saying earlier, schools are coming out saying we want something to read. You know, it's literature. I had a comic book guy on the first episode of the podcast actually, and he was saying like his appeal, or the appeal of comic books and anime and manga for him is the storytelling. And it's awesome to be in a space where there's no discrimination between comic books and other literature. It's all seen as creative. It's all seen as valuable, and it's all seen as something worth having, something valuable. Not like, you're wasting your time reading comics, or you're wasting your time.
That is funny enough. We unfortunately, I think we're still lagging behind in catching up, as the whole Western side of media still looks. Comics is not that accepted in Europe and Asia. Graphic novels, as in what's more commonly sort of done there, you know, they that's being read by everybody. You know, people read comics like newspapers. It is for everybody. And then what's nice about the manga is that every genre is covered, you know. You got sports, romance, and things. Whereas if you look at Western comics, it keeps pushing superheroes. But I mean, a lot has changed when DC launched stuff like Vertigo and those things, you know. It managed to keep the readership. Even for me, you know, I wouldn't know how I would have evolved without having the more hardcore things, the Sandmans, whatever, the Hellblazers, the independent stuff, the Jeff Lemire stuff, Image Comics that has gone to also do the more serious works versus just the hyped up superhero. I love that comics have grown with us, so that it's telling adult stories. You know, and
you're right. There is it's interesting. Like, but what's your take? Do we get a lot of European comics in South Africa, or a strong following? Because the European comics, like the French and the Belgian stuff, are very like drama and not superhero at all.
Definitely, they're very drama driven. one of my favorite, US guys is actually Will Eisner, and it's so drama driven stories. It's just about but it's done so wonderfully, and that's typically like a European style comic, but it's not taken off here, and sadly, is the whole readership of European. I mean, I don't think the availability is first of all an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's a translation. There was somebody who was trying to do a English stuff in South Africa actually.
Okay.
But it never took off. It got to the first volume of like four different books. We still have some of them here. But it's such good stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
and it just needs to be translated.
Yeah. It's interesting that that's still a challenge in the day we live in.
There's still markets there that we need to, and even like South America and those,
Oh yeah, that's true.
These guys work in comics, but there's Spanish stuff out there,
Yeah.
the South American market,
Yeah.
the Spanish. So there's worlds of comics that we still need to discover, and there's probably beautiful stories, but there are bigger. I mean, there are obviously stuff in Europe that would have been translated already,
yeah.
And in the UK, obviously, the whole British scene, the 2000 AD scene, has been luckily been part of it, but that's because of the English, and obviously with our ties with the UK, so that those things were here,
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of those, funnily enough, a lot of those writers went over to write at places like DC Marvel,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It's so also just to come back. It was interesting when you said like when the artists and the writers became more famous. It's interesting how wouldn't you say it's like inverted, right? Now,
Yeah.
an actor becomes famous for writing, for playing Superman. But,
There you go.
So the Superman
Yeah.
is still the character. You don't have Hollywood stars like John Wayne or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
no, this guy played Superman and he's this actor. Where now it's like you were saying, suggesting earlier, like the comic books artists and writers they famous and he's going to work on Superman. So
exactly. Now you bring
yeah.
them together. Suddenly, like we literally sitting on Batman is being relaunched from a new #1, like within a month.
Wow.
And Matt Fraction comes back. Matt Fraction is an amazing writer.
Yeah.
So we like, this is gonna be big.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, but again, you need that fact where that Matt Fraction is already known.
He's famous.
He's famous. It's big.
People are going to read Batman for him,
for
not
him.
for
But
Batman.
now you're bringing a new readership in. But I'm just saying we're just at the time when you can follow a writer, you can follow an artist. I've also done that. I would, if it's Alex Ross book, if Alex Ross must do a full comic,
Yeah.
I blindly would want it, knowing the art is going to deliver this painted style of art.
Yeah.
And that classic art style, and it's
Yeah.
painted. I mean, when he did Kingdom Come, the whole thing was painted.
It was so beautiful.
Absolutely amazing. So, I mean, there you'd just buy it for the art.
Yeah.
And I don't care if the story, if he writes it, anybody writes it. But again, if you pair it with the right person, yes, it can be massive. It's just, I'm just glad it's a time when what's nice is that these guys can now launch independent stuff. There's always things with rights and so yes, how much they earn off writing a Superman book and they won't get enough royalty or whatever. So they've gone into creator-owned stuff, and this is why Image has taken off so well. And even other independent, there's newer companies that have started up where creator-owned rights is a big thing.
Yeah.
Writers and artists get to own their characters, create their own IPs actually. I mean, Robert Kirkman is a classic example of just blowing it out of the water.
Yeah.
Walking Dead, Invincible.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when we just got back to 2002, got back from San Diego, Robert Kirkman is a youngster. That's probably a year or two later, and I'm watching, I'm so into what all the panel talks at San Diego, and Robert Kirkman is one of the fanboys virtually.
Yeah.
Well, he was just about working for Image Comics.
Yeah.
He was working, but he's sitting in a panel with Todd McFarlane up front, as in this is the Todd McFarlane panel, and he's actually asking questions and like, what about this and that? And just after that, he exploded because Todd McFarlane was making some joke about, you're the guy bringing in the paycheck at Image, covering because his stuff was just Walking Dead was just taking off, but he was an unknown. But now today, the guy is a media mogul.
He's a superstar.
He's a superstar, in his own right. He's got these fantastic, and he owns these things because now it's done under Image.
Yeah.
This thing with Walking Dead's massive.
Invincible is also great.
It's awesome, and it's like cheese. So, rightfully, artists and writers, we're living in a new era of seeing those are the real superstars, not a company. And because tomorrow, DC or Warner, those things can change. Ownership changes, leadership changes, and the care for the characters is not always there. When we see, I mean, luckily, under the DC belt, the guys like Jim Lee who's still there, he's the co-publisher of DC Comics. So we love that we see a real comic guy still there.
Yeah.
We know that the top ownership of Warner would chop and change, and we don't know how much vested they are in the comic scene or the comic community and the business of it.
Yeah.
But having somebody like Jim Lee there, for instance, that's really...
Yeah, he's a steward of the...
He's like really...
comic
he's the
scene.
beacon out there. So we know he's still helming up that, and that for us as fans is really special to see that at least they honor that part of it. But but for those guys to get recognition and an ownership,
Yeah.
which
No,
is great.
that's
That is
awesome.
first prize,
Yeah. Yeah, because a lot of the rights are disputed. Like the... isn't it... well, now with this new movie, with the new Superman movie, where in the UK the rights of Joel Schumacher's family is lapsed and they tried to block the movie from being made and all kinds of things like that because the copyright lapsed in the UK or something. And isn't it also there's like a lot of disputes on who created the character and who owns what. So it is great that we're living in the era where artists and writers are actually...
But there is actually something coming up actually with like the rights of Superman and those things becoming in the public domain now. It's about to elapse soon, a couple of years. So there's going to be, anybody could make Superman. And
isn't that wild?
That's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
So you're going to
It's going to be scary with AI because everyone with a computer is going to get like Superman doing this.
That's another conversation. We can do a podcast with that. But yeah, AI and what people can do with it, it's actually technically amazing. But I mean, in the art space, it's a rude word,
It falls flat a little bit.
Yeah, it does. And I wouldn't want to go there because I'm such a huge pusher of Artist Alley and what Artist Alley is about, and seeing that creativity firsthand, and what people can do. And
no, AI is a little bit.
There's a space for AI in terms of what it can do for us. I mean, I probably saw it online, some joke about AI. We wanted robots to do the dirty work, clean the toilets and wash the dishes, not do the art and write the poetry.
Yeah,
so
you need to wash the toilets and do the dishes so that I have more time
to do art. I want to play music, play my guitar and write poetry and draw. That's what I want. That is life, If you could live, that is, So,
but it is. Listen, this is not just anime podcast. So we've been talking a lot about comics, but interesting. Just to come back a little bit to the anime is like now. I don't know if you saw maybe a month or maybe 2 months ago, there was like this big craze of Studio Ghiblifying everything. So people were using AI. They would they would say, here's a picture of me and my wife and my daughter or whatever. Do it in the art style of Studio Ghibli. And then apparently ChatGPT, OpenAI kind of didn't crash, but was overrun with people requesting to draw me like a Studio Ghibli character. So that's that was interesting. I remember just seeing on social media for a time, everyone looked like a
But it shows your popularity, Studio Ghibli, and that's another story.
Yeah.
Going back when we think when I grew up, Heidi was playing on the TV in Afrikaans, and that was just wow. And to discover that later on,
it was anime actually.
It was anime.
Yeah,
I was watching anime.
Not a lot of people know that.
But in Afrikaans.
Yeah.
And actually, I didn't know why I loved it so much. It was simple stories, but it was very heartfelt. Yeah. And that is Studio Ghibli. It's always heartfelt.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I discovered that, I was like, wow, this is. And I'm enjoying other things, Spirited Away, whatever. It's such beautiful movies to watch.
Yeah. So, growing up when you did, there was also a lot of anime that got translated into Afrikaans or English or whatever. So, like, what's it? Speed Racer, Gashaman, Macross, all these robot animes that was translated in the West and then came to South Africa. Did that ever cross your table, so to speak?
Not that too much, funnily enough, but definitely that Heidi. I was latched to that.
Yeah.
Watched every episode.
Yeah. No, it was a
but funnily enough, I didn't get some. I don't know if I missed it somehow. I know there was very limited stations in and obviously no dedicated channels or anything like that. But I don't remember those, but definitely that Heidi for me was still stand out to me because later on in life that was one of my favorites, anything Studio Ghibli. I need to watch it. There was Kiki's Delivery Service.
It's a beautiful movie.
All of it. I actually ended up buying those DVDs, as a collector good. I just had to go and buy, and I used to import them myself, just for myself, not even to sell.
So, but I kind of know the answer to this, but you're not. Your focus is comics. I mean, Readers Den, you can buy some anime and manga related things, but as a fan, you are not necessarily into the bubblegum anime.
No, I didn't grow up on Dragon Ball Z, Naruto. I'm not that crowd. I didn't come from that. Maybe yes, I missed it in terms of my age. Maybe, I just have an attachment to it based on like that old Heidi's and stuff, and also then later on your obvious stuff. You know, the Akira, Ghost in the Shell, Evangelion. I watched all those. I own all those DVDs. I still sit in this Princess Mononoke. Oh, amazing!
Great movie.
So. Yeah, not maybe the typical fan, but maybe there isn't a typical fan because it actually shows you that anime and manga, there's something for everybody.
Yeah,
you know, I am a fan of it, but just those things.
Yeah,
I don't have to like that, and they can be a fan for the other thing, and it actually just shows to the whole that is the diverse library that exists in anime and manga that there's something for everybody.
Yeah,
and in Readers Den, we obviously going to promote and carry everything for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
So we carry the full spectrum. If it's into the hardcore heart of the Junji Itos, we got it there. You know, we still have the classics, the Akiras, but we do the Dragon Ball Zs and the One Pieces and those things. That we stock all of that.
Yeah.
I don't have to be a fan to know those are great.
But I appreciate that. I appreciate that of you, Nizar, because it also speaks or harks back to what you said, where your parents had no judgment to. Oh, you're reading comics. There was no judgment.
No, that's
and I sense that from you that you don't judge. It's not like we've got it's comics only.
I'm just so like, dude, this is if you love that is great.
Yeah.
I love when people actually like fanboy over a scene. If I get a group of people, they come in here, they're like, ooh, I found.
Yeah.
That's the moment. And I don't even look at what it is.
Yeah.
You know, for me, I don't need to know that.
That's awesome.
I just want you to have that.
Yeah.
Because I know that feeling, you know? And that's the feeling I want to see around. And and we get that. Or when we stock anime figures and these things, you know, it's like, oh, they made him in the or it's a chibi version and I have to have this. It's like, you know, I'm a huge figure collector too. This is a little hint. So I wasn't sure if you wanted to go there because that's a whole world of me also, you know, in terms of my Spawn era, the collecting of Spawn figures. And then I also went into the anime. Obviously, I had to get the Akira on the bike. You know? I got those things, you know, those figures. So, but again, you know, I'm technically a bigger figure collector than a comic collector.
Yeah, okay.
If people need to know. Whereas my brother would be the hardcore comic guy, going to the vintage, Golden Age, whatever. He's that guy. And I love this stuff. And I know you mentioned the smell of a new book. For me, there is something in the community of figure collecting. You got NTS, which is new toy smell.
Yeah.
That's when you crack that box.
Yeah.
I know we're probably all going to get cancer from that. but I had to have that heat. I had to have that heat, you know. It was opening that figure. It was and then I don't know if you know, there was a range of Monsieur Bomi figures.
Yeah.
Beautiful sculpts, and it's like you appreciate the art out of these things. I started buying things for the art of it, and I didn't know the series. I started off. I had to have Kaneda on the bike, or whatever.
Major Kusanagi.
I have that too. Yes, I had to have the classics, you know.
Yeah.
And because you know the series, but then there's a point where you're like, oh shit, this stuff is the art is so awesome.
It's stunning.
And then the Monsieur Bomi, I was like, oh, this guy's his interpretation of the figure or whatever now it is. Yeah. And sometimes it made you go look for the series.
Exactly.
It's like that's kind of cool. It's like the one feeds the other. Yeah, I'm like, okay, this figure is so cool. I'm in Trigun. Yes, it was popular, but I probably got the figure. Because Vashtam Peter was just like, this is kick-ass cool. I am gonna have to own this, but now I need to go see the series.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh.
But that's a beauty, I think, also about comic book and anime and manga fans or pop culture fans, is they are predisposed. They've got open minds, so they're curious about things, and this is the whole premise of the podcast, right? I think anime fans or comic book fans, pop culture fans, they're multifaceted people. They're not just like, they're curious. They want to see, oh, what, that looks beautiful. What is that? You know, like you were saying now, like, oh, Vash the Stampede. It's like this blonde-haired guy with this red coat. It looks so sick with the robotic arm. Oh, this looks amazing. Or where is it from? And then you go investigate and you find it. And sometimes the series is terrible,
don't-
but
yeah.
the artwork related to it is
You still
stunning.
love it, yeah.
And that's the beautiful thing is I think the fans are open to kind of
Yeah, and I've funny enough
Explore.
seen this in. I mean, the cosplay scene is also a community that's part of this community, and I've seen that there too. When we first saw a lot of cosplay, it always seemed to be anime characters, right?
yeah
And then I would see that same cosplay. You might follow them and say, "Hey, there you're doing a Fantastic Four character. Oh, there you're doing Supergirl or Superman. Oh,
Yeah.
they do love the stuff, you know. It's
Yeah.
not. Oh, yes, they got introduced to the whole pop culture scene via watching anime, and they would first
Yeah.
cosplay all those characters.
No, but the two
and then
feed
suddenly
each
they're
other.
like, no, well, Fantastic Four is coming out. I need to be in that
yeah
cosplay.
yeah
And I'm like, that's so cool.
yeah
You know,
no, that's
again,
awesome.
and you can see yourself in that. You know that yes, not the hardcore, the typical anime fan, but hints of being a fan all along. Maybe a closet fan. What do you call that?
Yeah.
I don't know. But hey,
you
the
are
fandom,
into
yes,
different
you're
things,
into it,
yeah.
you know, you
and it
still
doesn't
get it-
have to be at opposite ends.
and not
It
in the
can
same.
all-
Everybody's not into it in the same way.
Exactly.
That's the thing, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what's great about it. And coming back to what the Readers Den and the shop is, I think the shop was always there for guys to come and hang out and be that space. You'll be accepted for whatever you're into, you know.
Yeah.
We just enjoy that passion of the scene, of the pop culture scene, you know. And then being part of it, you know, when the manga came out, there's another story to manga. We were actually so ahead of our time in terms of trying to distribute manga into South Africa. We opened up a business. It never worked because we were ahead of our time.
Yeah.
We got the rights to Tokyo Pop. Tokyo Pop was one of the biggest publishers in the US.
Yeah.
In terms of translating into English, and also they started with the right to left and all that, you know, and that was a huge education, you know. We did brochures, we approached exclusive books in these places. I had to teach them that the book goes from this way, brought in standees, but they were not open to carrying the stock yet, you know.
Yeah.
As in, this is not what they do. We do books.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
It was such a hard sell at the start, and now it's such a pleasure to walk into
Yeah,
these
you
stores. You
walk
know,
in and you can
a
see-
bookshop is like there's at least 2 or 3 aisles of comics, and it's usually manga, but even other graphic novels. So yes, we were ahead of the curve in trying to get that into the bookshops because we knew in the US it was happening already. You know, the
Yeah.
Barnes and Nobles were doing it.
Yeah.
So we just like, let's get into the business of, and luckily enough, Tokyo Pop
Was open to it.
open
yeah.
to it. You'll become a distributor of Tokyo Pop in South Africa. We actually got that from them. So we brought in the standees, we brought in cases of the first volumes and launched with the catalog and everything. It just never took.
But it was too early.
It's too early. We were like ahead of the curve because
Yeah, yeah.
we were seeing it working in our shop. We just felt it needs to be in every shop.
Yeah.
And then this eventually got there. So it's not meant for us to do, but at
Yeah.
least it got there for the fans, you know.
Yeah. That's the important thing.
That
at the
was the
end of
important thing.
day.
It worked out.
Yeah.
The vision wasn't wrong. It is there today successfully. It's in all the stores, you know.
Yeah.
And book distributors are happily distributing manga. This is why we have it in those stores. They don't have to do special imports. We still do the special imports if you can't find the weird stuff.
Yeah.
We're gonna be there for you.
Okay,
Don't worry. So, but the mainstream stuff is available, and that's great. Everybody has got access to these things in a much easier way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nizar, I want to say thank you very much for having this chat today. We ran a little bit over time, but
thought so.
I do appreciate you sitting down and sharing the history, your passion for comics, the history of Readers Den. Congratulations on that's now what 33 years
33 years and counting.
since the first
The first official
store since the Long Street era.
Yeah.
And we now I guess in the Weinberg era, or what
It's
would you
not-
call it, the Western Cape era, because you've got a second shop.
Yeah,
Maybe-
we got the 2 shops. So yeah, but yeah, thank you for having me. You know, all the stories are there, and the background is there, and it's not always that we get a chance to talk about it.
To
And
reminisce.
and to reminisce, you know. And as you get older, it's nice to look back at the things that made it and how
That
you
you've
got
achieved as
that
well.
you've achieved, yes, because it's you always beat yourself up, you know. And
Yeah.
without looking at the achievements and how it came about, and how things fell into place that it needed to work out, you know. Some things didn't work, some things worked. And
Yeah.
thankfully, yes, it's been a really an amazing journey to get to where we are today and still be doing it, you know.
Yeah. No, congratulations
yeah.
for, I mean, a testament of time. 33
Yeah, I know.
years, starting in a flea market, first shop in Long Street, to Comic Book Day, hosting FanCon, and, you know, bringing international artists to South Africa. And I
That's
know
it.
you guys play a massive role in bringing the talent to South Africa that we see at Comic-Con Africa and Comic-Con Cape Town.
Comic-Con Cape Town, we do still do the invites to the comic book talent that comes in, so, the international artists. So we are partnered with them on Artist Alley, and it's been a beautiful journey working with them and seeing that we can take a show to the next level, and they've got the skill to put on a massive show. But to be part of that, it's a dream come true again, we're still part of that journey. We with the artist, we support that part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's almost like everything had its time and it's working out in that system.
Yeah.
But what I like is that we in an era of growth, of almost like a boom again,
Yeah.
Even the manga scene for me, there's a new spike, Pokemon and these things. It all adds to this
there's definitely
extra buzz to all of these things that becomes more mainstream and acceptable. So we're going to ride every wave there is. We're going to be there for the lows if it does come again, but still we're enjoying the highs and we want everybody to be part of that, If you can, I think there are different hobbies out there, but I find this hobby, and it's such a community driven. Maybe it comes from the geekness of you on your own. It's a geek can be a solo experience. It's a really solitary experience sometimes. You read on your own or you watch a show on your own. But I think community makes it, and have somebody to talk to. And the way we talk about these things is we are so passionate about it. So it's great. So hopefully, people, we all want to ride the high waves, obviously, together.
Yeah.
But as a community, we'll be there in the low times too,
And thank you for what you do for the community and for your passion. If people want to come and swing by Readers Den, you are on the corner of Wetton and what is the other? Rosemead Avenue in Wynberg. You've got your store here, and then the other one is in
Tiger Valley Centre.
In Tiger Valley Centre. A lot of fans probably know it already.
Yeah.
And then if you're looking for the Joburg experience, Comic-Con Africa.
We'll be there. We're packing up next week, and then we're making the big trek again. We love going up there. You know what? Our online store's obviously taken off in a big way in the last few years. But just that we put a face to some of our names of our customers there, and we just meet up and we just like have a big smile together, and
fan out.
We fan out. We talk comics and we just like, oh. So we need to. We love being there and seeing everybody again, and also we've built a relationship with so many of the exhibitors.
Yeah.
And like in Artist Alley, for me to go through there and just to say hi, hey,
how's it going?
I'm not going to mention any names because it's just literally hundreds of people that I go home with my voice virtually gone. I come home when I can't almost talk from talking at these shows nonstop. But it's like it's the best way to go home,
Yeah.
If I didn't, I don't think it's me,
Yeah. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on the show.
And we'll see you again soon in Joburg.
Thank you.
I'll come down to Cape Town and visit as well.
Of course.
If there was a comic book hall of fame, Nizar Abrahams would be right up there. What a living legend, and a total honor to have had him on this podcast. Some people call me the behind the scenes guy, and it's true. I love the behind the scenes stuff. I love to know how the anime industry works and to document the history of where things began, and I'm totally honored to have documented this piece of South African pop culture history on this podcast. And how admirable is it to see him still as passionate and enthusiastic about the comic book business as he was all those years ago, and sticking with it for more than 3 decades, and seeing the business through thick and thin and global pandemics and whatnot, and still to be as excited about comic books and sharing that with future generations. That is truly, truly admirable, and I commend Nizar for that. Well, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, please remember to like or leave a comment, share your thoughts, and if you feel so inclined, I'd really appreciate a subscribe. And if not, just share it with a friend who might like the Not Just Anime podcast. Anyway, until next time, ta-da!